Most beginner writers think they need more content, more platforms, or better pitches. I thought the same thing too, so I kept posting, rewriting my portfolio, and sending outreach messages that barely got replies. But none of that changed anything until I fixed one problem. My signals were confusing. What I said, what I showed, and how I reached out did not match. Once I fixed that, I landed 3 writing clients in just 14 days. Not because I suddenly became a better writer. People finally understood what I actually helped with. In this video, I'll show you the simple framework I used so you can stop guessing and start getting replies. Here's the truth most beginner writers never hear. Clients usually do not ignore you because your writing is bad. They ignore you because your message feels unclear. Most writers accidentally send mixed signals without realizing it. They call themselves freelance writers, content writers, or copywriters, but then their portfolio shows random topics that have nothing connecting them. One article talks about productivity, another talks about coffee, another talks about SEO. Then the outreach messages sound generic and forgettable. From the client's perspective, it feels confusing. And clients do not spend time trying to figure people out. They make fast decisions. Most of them silently ask one question. Do I clearly understand what this person helps with? If the answer feels vague, they move on. That's exactly what happened to me for months. I was working hard, learning new skills, and writing constantly, but none of it connected together in a clear way. The signals were scattered, so the responses were almost non-existent. The interesting part is that the fix was actually very small. I stopped trying to look impressive, and I started trying to look clear. That changed everything. Instead of doing more, I built a simple 4-part signal system. First, I focused on one clear problem. Then I created proof connected to that problem. After that, I built one positioning line that explained what I helped with. Finally, I simplified my outreach. Once those 4 things matched each other, conversations became easier almost immediately. People finally understood what I helped with, who I helped, and why my writing mattered. And when people understand you quickly, trust builds faster. That was the real difference. Not talent, not fancy branding, not posting every single day, just alignment. This was the biggest shift for me. I stopped describing myself with vague labels like freelance writer. Instead, I started describing a real business problem. For example, instead of talking about writing in general, I would say something like, I help small businesses simplify confusing digital marketing content so customers understand what to do next. That instantly feels more useful because clients are not buying writing itself. They are buying outcomes. They want clearer communication. They want fewer confused customers. They want people to understand their offer faster. That's what actually matters to them. And once I focused on the problem instead of the label, everything became easier. My portfolio improved, my outreach improved, even my confidence improved because I finally had direction. Then I rebuilt my portfolio samples. Before this, my portfolio looked completely random. I thought variety would impress people, but it actually weakened my message, because none of the samples supported the same problem. So I changed my approach completely. I created one strong sample focused entirely on the exact type of problem I wanted to solve, not to prove talent, to prove relevance. That distinction matters a lot. Clients do not care that you can write about 50 different topics. They care whether you understand their situation. That's why one focused sample often works better than 10 random ones. When your proof matches your positioning, trust increases much faster. Next, I created one simple positioning line. The goal was to explain who I help, what problem I solve, and what outcome I create in one sentence. A simple structure looks like this. I help audience achieve outcome through approach. For me, it became something like, I help small businesses simplify confusing marketing content through clear SEO writing. That one sentence became everything. It became my bio, my outreach intro, my LinkedIn headline, and even the introduction to my portfolio. Now every piece of communication pointed in the same direction. And that consistency made me easier to remember. This is where replies finally started happening. Before this system, my outreach felt awkward because it sounded generic. I was sending messages like, Hi, I'm a freelance writer looking for opportunities, which sounds exactly like everyone else. But once the signals aligned, outreach became much simpler. Now I could send short messages connected to a real problem and attach one relevant sample. That instantly changed the quality of replies. Instead of silence, people started responding with questions, curiosity, and actual conversations. And honestly, the biggest surprise was how natural it started feeling. I no longer felt like I was begging for work. I felt like I was offering a solution. That mindset shift matters more than most people realize. The biggest lesson from all of this was simple. Clients respond to clarity faster than effort. Most beginner writers try to solve slow results by doing more. More posts, more samples, more platforms, more outreach. But clearer signals usually beat more activity. You do not need a huge audience. You do not need expensive branding. You do not need 50 portfolio samples. You need alignment. One problem, one proof direction, one clear message. That combination creates momentum much faster than scattered effort. And once momentum starts, confidence usually follows. If you want the full breakdown, I linked the full article and workbook below. And if you're struggling to get replies right now, ask yourself one simple question. What signals am I actually sending? Because that question can completely change how clients see you. If this video helped you, subscribe for more simple content about writing, positioning, and building an online business without making things complicated. See you in the next video.